Today, as Istanbul Aydın University, Blockchain Academy Blockchain Talks, we have very important and distinguished speaker. She's Mariana de la Roche. Mariana is, I would say, a great personality, mostly in blockchain. She is the senior regulatory affairs expert on the Internet of Things Association Foundation and member of the board of directors and chair of the Social Impact and Sustainability Working Group of INATBA, and member of the expert panel of EUBOF. So she is really an expert, and we are very much honored today to have Mariana with us. And her subject is really very important subject for today about our sustainable future in our world. And she will talk about blockchain for the sustainable future. First of all, Mariana, thank you very much. I know you are a very, very busy person, and to spare the time for Istanbul Aydın University and Euro-Asian universities and students and the academician, the floor is yours. We are very grateful to see you, and we would like to learn from you and hear your thoughts. Please, floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction. Just one clarification: IOTA is not like it's like not the international or IoT. I don't remember the name. It's just IOTA Foundation. And yeah, again, thank you for the invitation. I'm just gonna run to a presentation because I think that like visuals are easy to understand. And Erol, I will send you the presentation to your email later on in case that you want to share it with anyone that is interested.
Great.
In the presentation also there's going to be links to absolutely everything that I'm going to say and every project, so in case that like people is more interested or want more information, they can go directly there. As I said, my internet is terrible. I'm based in Germany, in Berlin, and believe me, the internet here is bad. I have better internet connection sometimes in the countryside of Colombia, where I'm actually from, than here. So I'm gonna turn my camera off, and I'm gonna just present so you can actually hear me. If the sound stop, just please let me know. I will try to just like reconnect with my phone or something else. So apologies in advance if there is any technical issue. Okay, that said, just let me know if you can see my screen now. Can you see the screen?
Not yet. It started to share. We'll see.
Now.
Now
Okay.
we have it.
Awesome. So yeah, Erol already did a great introduction of myself, just maybe some couple of additional points. My title there is not updated, and my title is actually the one that Erol gave. I'm a lawyer by training, and I was working on the development sector before actually I started on the blockchain industry. And I got super interested in the technology because I saw some of the challenges that the development sector were facing were trying to implement projects. And I got curious about how technology could actually accelerate what they were doing or help them to address some of the challenges that they were facing. And that's how I started with the IOTA Foundation in 2018. But just let me walk you a little bit about why it's important actually blockchain for sustainability, because this is the first question, right? And it just comes everything to the understanding of value. So when we talk about value in linear economies, we normally are talking about the return on revenue and profits to the companies or organizations that are created or producing goods or are providing services. And this changed completely, like this concept of value, when we start to talk about circular economy, because the concept of value, it gets a little bit broader. So we, of course, have still the considerations about the return on profits and revenue, But then we also need to consider value in reference to the environment, which basically means what is the environmental impact that we are having, or how we can use resources to produce more sustainable products. We also have the consumer value, that is actually this change in the mindset of consumers that are looking for more sustainable products because they feel they have a responsibility in the way that they consume and behave in society. And then we have the informational value. That is the value that we acquire from the moment of, or like the early processes when we are producing goods. So from extraction to all connected to the supply chain, to actually like how the consumers are accessing and using our goods and services. And then what happened with those products once they are used, if they're being recycled or they're being refurbished. And here is where blockchain becomes really, really important, because this data that we are acquired can help us to actually become sustainable. Circularity doesn't mean sustainability per se, and this is really, really important. So circular economies and the concept of circularity focus on the resources cycles, so and how they perform during the life cycle of the product and how this impact the environment sometimes. So this goes from the moment of production to just like see how we keep products and services for longer time in the market, whether it's recycling or refurbishing, which is actually keeping the product for other uses in the market. But the thing is that sustainability is more broadly related to people, planet, and economy. So the whole concept of prosperity. So a circular solution can be, or like a solution can be circular, but not sustainable. And let me put you an example. If you have a product and you want to refurbish this product to keep it in the market for longer time, that is indeed circular. But if this process of refurbishing consumes insane amount of water or energy, this process might not be sustainable. And this is where it's so important to have accurate data, because having data will allow us to understand in which moments and in which parts we can have interventions or solutions or deploy any application that can help us to actually become sustainable. And here's where blockchain actually plays an important role, because blockchain can help us to digitalize the complete life cycle of solutions, from the moment of production to transportation to the use to actually what will happen to that product after is used. And the good thing about blockchain is that because of the natural characteristics of blockchain, because it's like imagine like the single source of truth. Once the information is there, this information is really difficult to be altered without us noticing. So any information that is reported there has certain level of trust that it can help us to actually understand what is going on the field. Of course, this depends on how we are collecting the data, but I'm going to present you some examples so this makes more sense to you. But also one of the things that we're going to see on the examples as well is not only the level of trust that we can have in the data, because it's data that cannot be altered, but it's also how we can use the blockchain to create permissioned networks when we will have different parties that normally will not share data among them, but they will do due to the blockchain. And this really helps to understand and how others are behaving, how their solutions are impacting, and how we can actually collaborate. As I said, I wanted to put you some examples. I'm going to use some examples that have been implemented in IOTA Foundation or within the IOTA community. And we are going to examine it like different phases. So we are going to talk about the raw material extraction and production in the mining industry. We are going to talk concretely about the supply chain. And we are going to talk about how we can monitor emissions, greenhouse gases through the process in different ways. So the first project that I wanted to talk to you, and as I said, like all my slides have links to the information that I'm sharing, so you can see them in the corner. The first project is called DGIT. It's a project that is implemented with the European Union, with the Commission. This project is a consortium built by like many organizations. It's implemented right now. It started within the IOTA Foundation, but now it's implemented by Centrix, one of our community organizations. And basically what they are doing is working in 7 mines in the European countries to monitor what is the situation within the mine and how we can make it more sustainable. So basically what they're doing is creating digital twins of these mines. And how they do that, they do it really simple. It sounds simple, but it's not so easy. I was in one of the mines actually exploring how they do it. Is really interesting to see. You can download the reports on that link. But basically what they're doing is putting sensors in different parts of the mine to monitor the air quality, the energy consumption of the mine, the level of production, and based on these make decisions or automate decisions, or in which moment certain machine can or should not be working to actually make extraction more efficient. They also have a really interesting setting in regards to health, because they are also monitoring via sensors the heart rate of the workers. And this is like really interesting solution, because for privacy setting, the only one that should be and that is going to be like looking at this data is the miner that is actually working in the mine itself. So in the moment that there is an alteration on his heartbeat due to exhaustion or any other kind of causes, he is going to receive an alert that it will tell him, please leave the mine and take a rest, or call 911 or like 112, which is the number here in Europe. And this is really interesting because we don't want this data to go to the supervisor or anyone else. So due to the blockchain, we generate permissions that actually only the person that is producing the data can see the data, which is completely different to the rest of the data that we are collecting in this project that is shared between the different mines that are part of the consortium. The second one is the Trade Logistics Information Pipeline. This is a project between the UK and East African countries. And what they're doing is digitalizing the paper trade required to for merchandises and goods to cross borders between East African countries and the UK. And this is really cool project because it has so much success that now is scaling to different areas in the African continent. And they are working in particular with flowers and fish. And basically what they are doing is that by digitalizing all this paper trade in the moment of cross-boarding, they can do it faster. And it's more efficient as well because with certain goods, sometimes they go rotten or bad when trying to cross the borders because there is like so much waiting and they need to present all the papers. If one paper got lost, they cannot cross the borders, then the merchandise is lost. So this actually like mitigate those risks and facilitate the cross-border of merchandises, making also the East African region more competitive at the global level. So this is like we are really proud of this project, and we actually wanted to see how it keeps scaling in other regions. More information also on the IOTA blog there in the corner. And then the last project that I wanted to discuss with you is also really, okay, I didn't mention this. This project is actually implemented by the IOTA Foundation, inside of the IOTA Foundation. The last project is the DMRB. DMRB stands for Digital Monitoring, Reporting, and Verification. And it's a project that we started with different pilots in Chile. This project was implemented with the support of the Canadian government, but was implemented on factories in Chile. You can see there the two pilots. One is Copelium and the other one is Molina. And now this project, due to the potential and the success, is its own project. So this started inside IOTA Foundation, now is going to be one of our spin-up, which means is leaving the foundation and becoming their own company. The company is called Demia. They just launched the first communication this week. I also added the link in there if you want to follow their progress. They are working also with climate check and gold standards as well. But basically what the project was doing is actually adding it's like, this is really interesting because they have like different ledgers. So they have like sensors in factories where they are monitoring the carbon emissions produced by specific machines inside the factory, but they also collect information manually. So they have workers going there that are actually like monitoring certain machines that cannot be or do not have a sensor. So they need to input this data manually. The thing and what like common sense will tell you is that you cannot trust data that is manually added into the system in the same way that you can trust data that is coming from the sensor, right? But like how we actually like know which is what. So this project integrates also a solution called and that was developed with Dell and the Albarium project. And basically what they're doing is that they give points to the data according to how the data was collected and how it was treated. So when the climate researchers, because all of this data goes to a platform for climate researchers and institutions, all this data, when the researchers look at it, they know how much they can trust the different data points according to the data scored that they have that was based on the considerations of how the data was collected and processes. What is interesting here is that like you can also like give data points according to how much the sensors have been monitoring and if the sensor have been controlled so it's working properly. So the potential of this project is actually massive because the accountability of the data is huge for research purpose. So as I said, this is one of the things that I really want to see how it develops. So I will also invite you to follow Demia because you can just like keep an eye on everything that they're doing there. Okay, so this was 3 examples, and I wanted to actually give you these examples for you to have kind of a sense of how the technology can help. But there is a really important thing, and is that all of these examples, as you have seen by the logos on the slides or by what I was saying, require partnerships. So IOTA is always like a really collaborative organization. So as I mentioned many times, we have our community developing the solutions. We interact with the European Union, with the Canadian government. We have even projects about the energy sector with the German government. So it's really important for us, the concept of collaborations. And this is really important as well because collaboration is one of the P's of the 5 P's of circularity and sustainable development, but also is their own SDG. If you check like SDG 17 is also about partnerships. And from here, I want to move to INATBA, because INATBA, where I sit on the board and I'm a member of and I'm leading the Social Impact and Sustainability Working Group for the past 3 years, is a forum where different organizations, actually, Erol is part of our founding members, so that's like Erol, like we are always super happy to collaborate with you. He has been there. It's one of like the early believers of INATBA. But basically here we have different organizations that are coming from both the public and the private sector. And they come together with a joint goal or like a common goal that is like how we can enhance the adoption of blockchain technologies. And we have a governmental advisory body that help us to actually understand what are the priorities per region. And we have also the academic advisory body where we have professors from really esteemed universities worldwide that help us when we are writing reports or running any research to actually like do it according to the academic standards. So we also have like working groups, 6 working groups that actually like work on those priorities. So we have the privacy working group that has been really involved in everything that has happened with the Data Act here in Europe. We have the education working group that focus also on educating the general target audience on what blockchain is in the potential. Identity is doing really cool things with everything that is coming now with the EIDAS, that is this European framework for digital identities. And then we have the standards committee, as you imagine, that one of the big ones, because standardization is kind of like the key for interoperability and the projects to scale. Then we have finance that have been working on everything that is in regards to KYC, so know your clients, anti-money laundering legislation, the DeFi package or like potential package that will come for regulation, the digital world, everything that is regard to finance and the intersection between traditional finance, centralized finance, and decentralized finance. And then we have the social impact working group where I sit, and as we are going to talk about sustainability, this is where I'm going to focus, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we did and what we are doing right now and how to engage. So from 2019 to 2022, we actually wanted to understand the challenges and opportunities that blockchain projects were facing when trying to deploy or scale solutions. So we ran a survey and we interviewed 69 projects working in the intersection of blockchain and SDGs. And from that survey, we created a report. And in that report, we highlighted certain challenges. The link of the report is missing here. I will add it before sharing my slides. Based on those challenges, there were 2 that we actually wanted to work. The first one was that there was not a common understanding of what social impact was between the blockchain projects. Imagine this, and this also will play a role with like the number 4 that is here, and is that like you have a lot of developers with good intentions here, but like their main education has been computer science and coding. They have not been like grow with like this education that is like based on the development sector in how actually implement impact projects. And this comes with a lot of methodologies. And this is actually what generated the challenge number that is number 4, that is the projects didn't know how to showcase their impact that they were generating. And this, as I mentioned, is not an easy question, is a really complex topic that is addressed and has been addressed by the development sector for many, many years. So we wanted to work in those 2 main challenges. So the first one is that we create a social impact definition for the blockchain sector. We did a literature review of different definitions that were out there. And then we came out with a paper and a proposal of a definition of social impact. That is the one you see there. The full paper with all the research we did is linked there. But basically, we took like the different definitions, compare them, and we add something that we thought was really important for the blockchain sector, that was the unintentionality part. Because some of these projects, they were not thinking in generating impact or like social impact, they were thinking in deploying a project. And because of the nature of that project, they were generating social impact or sustainable impact in a way or another. And this comes in particular when we talk about smart mobilities or the energy transition. So this was like really important for us to recognize that sometimes unintentionally, the projects were generating a positive impact in societies. If you're curious, you can actually like read the whole paper there. Right now, we are actually just like presenting this definition in every place we can, so people start to adopt it and use it. And then what I was mentioning about the impact measurement was the challenge, like the other challenge that we prioritized. The full report is also there, but basically what we did was compare different social impact measurement frameworks and try to identify what were the different steps that they were presenting. The issue here is like some of those frameworks are really complex to follow. Sometimes they require that you pay a fee to access the model, or you really need to bring someone with the expertise to actually implement the impact measurement framework into the organization. And if we are talking about the small projects and startups, of course, they were not going to invest resources into this, especially because they didn't need to be compliant. Once you grow and you stop being in a small, medium-sized blockchain like an SME, organization, then you will need to be compliant with certain ESG requirements. And therefore, like if you start implementing some of these steps since the beginning, it will help those projects during the transition and so they can become sustainable. But also it's really important for projects to be able to showcase impact, especially if they want to connect with impact investors or angel investors that normally will not be interested on the blockchain part, but on the impact part. So we presented this model. It has like a couple of, like, as you can see, like a couple of steps divided by like categories and phases for the project. All of them are voluntary. We don't ask them to implement all of them, but we ask them to consider which of these steps are really important for them. And we have been socializing this also with like different projects. So now what we are doing right now, this year, we have like a yearly plan. So every year we work in different things. The first one that you see, that is the BC 100 Plus. This is not 1 year initiative, but it's going to be a multi-year effort that we are going to implement. And then we're implementing a report and a podcast. About the report, this is still in progress. We are going to publish it on December this year. We are working in partnership with Positive Blockchain and LaChain. LaChain is the blockchain area of the Inter-American Development Bank. And basically what we are doing is a review on the database that Positive Blockchain has with like over 1,000 projects and an internal database that we have in INATBA. What is the situation in each country from Mexico to Argentina, covering also the Caribbean islands, to showcase what are the type of projects that we have in the Latin American region that sometimes because of the language barrier, we don't get to actually know what's going on there. So this report is going to be interesting. We hope to replicate this in other regions as well later on. And as I said, it's going to be published this year at the end of the year. Then the podcast is also really cool. We recorded one podcast per month for 2023. The topic and actually was launched like 3 months ago. The new podcast is coming next week on Monday if you want to see it. The topic on 2023 was ReFi and financial inclusion. ReFi stands for regenerative finance. And we talked with like different projects in different regions. I'm actually proud to say that we got like North America, South America, the African continent, Europe, and Asia. Sadly, I didn't have anyone on the Middle East, but I hope that changed. And we recorded one podcast telling a little bit about what is the project doing, how they're doing regenerative finance on financial inclusion, and what are the challenges and opportunities they are facing, and how to engage and contact them. So if you are curious, here is going to be the link of the 2 that were already recorded. And then it's going to be the one, as I said, on Monday. And then you can actually like go to that website that is there at the bottom, and all the episodes are going to be there. The first one, the first episode is in the African region, the second one in Latin America. And the last initiative that I wanted to present and what we have been working is the BC 100 Plus. BC 100 Plus is actually an initiative that we are implementing with the high-level patronage of the president of the General Assembly of the United Nations, and is a project that is implemented by different organizations. We have a steering committee where you see all the logos here in the left side. We have international associations, we have Layer 1, we have foundations, we have non-profit, we have associations and think tanks. And basically, the main objective of this initiative is to raise awareness about the potential of blockchain and DLT solutions for social impact and sustainability, mostly how we can use these solutions to accelerate the job of organizations in the Web2 space, so traditional NGOs, UN agencies, and associations to actually achieve the UN Charter values and the 2030 agenda on time. So basically, we have been implementing phase 1 since September last year. Phase 1 goes until September this year. And what we have been doing is actually like first consolidating a manifesto that represents the point of view of all of these organizations in what is the potential of blockchain for sustainability. It sounds easy, it is not. It's a lot of negotiation because all the organizations see blockchain and its potential in a way or another a little bit different from the other. So actually having this alignment from some of the biggest players on the space is a big, big achievement. And now we are also working on community building and how to engage with like blockchain projects and Web2 organizations so they can actually like get the best out of like these discussions. And one of the things that we have been doing a lot is advocacy, education, and awareness raise among the activities. Like, for example, what I'm doing today with you is explaining you how blockchain can be used for sustainability and social impact. And all my colleagues in the other associations are actually like doing initiatives like this or like giving talks. I've been in COP26 to COP27 and some of the actually not so blockchain conference, but like more about sustainability to actually like showcase to NGOs and development agencies how to use blockchain. So as I mentioned, we launched the manifesto. We have a website as well. You can visit it. I'm going to leave the link as well here. It's not there, but I'm going to add it. It was launched a couple of weeks ago. And basically, we published there the manifesto. I don't expect you to read it right now. I'm going to share it with you as well. It's on the link. And now we are actually still in phase 1, as I mentioned, like trying to get like signatories of the manifesto. So blockchain projects that have a social impact or sustainable like kind of goal are developing solutions in this area are requested also to sign with the Positive Blockchain database because they have a group of researchers that evaluate like over like 150 data points per project to actually see that the project is legit. Because we have a lot of, sadly, scams on the blockchain ecosystem, and we need to be certain that the projects that are actually like joining the initiative have, I don't know, like minimum qualities, like having a developer team kind of building on the solution. They are currently working on it. They are beyond POC. All of these things, and if they are not beyond POC, that they're actually like working on it. And once the projects are evaluated by them, this is like how we do like quality criteria. We actually let them join the initiative and sign the manifesto. Also, projects that are like blockchain projects but are not working on sustainability topics can join if they consider and they can show that they have tools that might be interesting for Web2 organizations, like, for example, projects working on identity or actually like doing digitalization for organizations on the traditional point of view. Let's put it like that. UN agencies are also invited to join, and big NGOs, Save the Children, Stack the Zone. We are approaching them like as well for them to join because we think they can benefit from learning how to implement blockchain into their operations. This is mostly what we are doing right now. Once we have a pool of organizations, right now we have like 5 logos already there, signatories of the manifesto, and we receive like over like 30 applications that have been reviewing right now. As I mentioned, like we met once, like we are really careful of who we allowed in the initiative because we want the best projects, the legit projects working here. We don't want to have a situation where we introduce a project that is actually not developing a solution to the UN, for example. We actually want to generate trust. That's why we are curating these projects. Once we have like a pool of projects and NGOs and organizations in the development sector, we are going to create a platform, probably going on Slack, where these projects and the UN agencies can talk to them directly and invite each other to collaborate and participate in events or do research together. And in phase 2, and I'm just going to run this like fast so we can have like some time for like discussion and questions if that's possible. In phase 2, we are actually going to even go beyond that, and we are going to select best in class blockchain projects. So right now we are generating a set of criteria criteria that like some of them you can see it here. And we want to actually like look for them. They can be signatories of the manifesto or be outside of the initiative, but we are going to be looking for them to actually use them as an example or like lighthouse of what it can be achieved with blockchain. We are also working on identifying flagships. Flagships are more like topics or action plans that are developed about sustainability topics. Some of them are, you can see it here, rainforest, food, ocean, climate change and empowerment, adaptation, not only mitigation, all of these topics. And then what we want to do when we identify the best in class and the flagships is actually generate situation rooms where we are going to invite the projects, the signatories, and to discuss inside these flagships what could be the impact of certain blockchain solutions that are being developed by the best in class into these areas in specific. And this also is one of the reasons why we are inviting a lot of like academia to also join, and we are really active with the academic advisory board of INATBA, is because it's really important to actually have like scientists and researchers and professors involved in these conversations. So we also have like that layer of quality review, I will say. And with this, I'm done with my presentation. I'm gonna stop sharing and try to put my camera again if my internet allows it. And yeah, as I said, like I'm gonna share the presentation with all of you. All the links are there. I'm gonna complete some of the links that are missing. And that's it. I don't know if you have questions or comments or anything you would like to know.
First of all, thank you very much, Mariana. Because we learn a lot of new things. Add only one small thing on the side of INATBA working groups, because I think I didn't see that we have also a metaverse working group. I'm co-chair there with Professor Yanis Karamitsos. So we are also preparing a report which will come out, I think, in the September. And in the meantime, yesterday, EU Commission brought a report out. Instead of metaverse, they are trying to use Web 4.0. So
yeah, the virtual world, I think that was the report, how they call it, yeah.
And therefore, I mean, I know because I'm also, when we talk to blockchain and the others, we know that blockchain is the core in all of this metaverse, NFT, and many other things. And the good thing is that the sustainable development goals also in many cases based and used by with the blockchain, which will be also getting more attention. And we really appreciate your work personally and with your all associations and groups. I would like to ask you just one question, because the subject we are talking is the blockchain for the sustainable future. And I think many people are still in many countries, they see, they always think blockchain, instead of going into the blockchain, they go more traditional ways still. And what I would like to ask to you, just to explain to us a little bit more on the use of the blockchain, because it is the most trustful, how it could reflect also on the side of the today's world in peace.
I'm sorry, like you got like caught in the middle of the word. So basically the question is like how blockchain
could help, I said, also, you know, in today's world, we have a lot of problems. I said on the side of the peace.
Oh, well, that's like peace building is actually like a really interesting topic. Like, as I mentioned before, like I'm a human rights lawyer by training, like my background is in law and I have post-degree studies in human rights and humanitarian law. I work on that a lot before blockchain. But I think that like it just like comes to the understanding of peace, right? Because this peace is not only the absence of war, like to actually like generate peace, you actually like need to address certain systemic issues. inequality and poverty among them will be like one of the first one that I will try to tackle. And blockchain is not only about like the trust on the data, it's also what like the financial part I found like really interesting, especially on DeFi, because it's how we can actually like bring into the economy people that has been historically left out, right? And this can come for like different topics. It can be a matter of access. It can be a matter of like education as well, or like actually infrastructure. So with blockchain, you can actually like have like access to your accounts, your like for example, if I have an account on Binance or Bitpanda, this is not 24/7, right? Like this is 24/7 actually. I can access my resources, my coins all the time. It's not like I don't need to work with the schedule of the banks. But also because of the particularities of DeFi, which is global and cross borders, I can actually like, for example, for me, it's really important to support my family as well in Colombia. So like normally I need to pay fees. I need to just like always plays with the exchange of the coin that like comes like also with inflation is works on my favor, but not in their favor, not on my favor actually. So all of these topics can be also like solved with blockchain. One of the things that I always put as example is like, if you look at the Argentinian crisis, for example, like the devaluation of the coin is really heavy. What would have happened if you actually enhance stable coins in their economy? So they want the pain of a coin that every time is like being devaluated, and I'm talking about the Argentinian pesos, but they can actually like empower their economy via stable coins. So all of these small things, I think that it can address. The part of like inclusion for me is very important. The fact that you can access, almost everyone has a smartphone. So, and if not, like you can actually like work with local economy. So the whole concept of like, for example, like community coins is like really interesting. I saw projects, for example, I think it's Uganda, that is working with Binance and an organization called AfriPats, where people can donate, and these donations are turned into color tokens and that are allocated to women. So women can go to different suppliers and have access to hygiene products or menstrual health products, so they can actually like address a need that they have in particular. And for the donor, is really interesting because he knows how many women access how many products with his donation. So this is completely transparent in the donation, which incentivate more donations and actually help these women there with like particular needs. But also, what would it happen if you help like farmers via I think is there, like you really need to hear the podcast. Ethics Hub works a lot with farmers to make them more financial sustainable, and also like everything that is coming with tokenization of the land. Like I mean, like I can keep going for hours with examples of how actually like these solutions address systemic issues that have been there for decades and had not been able to be solved. And these solutions actually offer the possibility of do it faster and more efficient and more transparent. And I think that like you need to solve that to actually generate peace. So it's a really long question, like for long answer for a question, but like I don't think peace is just the absence of war. I think that it goes beyond that to address systemic issues. And from there, like I really can talk about hours about this, because you also need to connect with infrastructure and energy efficient, and then you talk about like climate and like energy, clean energy. So it's just there's thousands of examples.
Thank you very much. Today at Istanbul Aydın University Blockchain Academy Blockchain Talks, we had our distinguished speaker, panelist Mariana de la Roche, and we are very thankful for your time and for your thoughts you shared with us. Thank you very much, Mariana.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It's always a pleasure.